about what she was being asked to do, and her fear would totally disable her. I might have been the 17th professional she'd seen in 3 years. Her distraught parents had tried everything. This time they didn't want just another psychological intervention, but they'd heard about the work I'd been doing on rewiring the brain. When they approached me, I said, well, yes, I will take her on, and I want to trial a new technique that I've been working on. And I asked, does she like colouring in? And they told me that she did. I said, look, tell her to bring her favourite pencils with her, and I'll explain what she has to do. When I met Talia, she told me that, like most of us, she'd really enjoyed colouring in as a very young child. In fact, she told me quietly that she still enjoyed it today. I said, I'd like you to help me with an experiment. The word experiment took some of the pressure off. Whether it worked or didn't work was no big deal. And I said, I'm going to use an EEG, an electroencephalography machine. So we're going to hook up your earlobe and we're going to look at the way your brain is communicating with your body. In particular, the way it's communicating with a couple of your glands and organs that are producing this state of anxiety in you. What we were measuring were 2 neurotransmitters, chemical messengers. One was the activation neurotransmitter adrenaline, and the other was the relaxation neurotransmitter dopamine. First, I just put her on the machine for 5 minutes while she sat there looking blankly at me. So I had a baseline from which to measure any improvement. Then I said, okay, here we go. Here's a book of pictures. Now, they're not pictures of anything in particular. I know, they're just designs. And I gave her some of the drawings I'd prepared for my coloration colouring books. Pick one, I told her, don't worry about me. Get your colouring pencils out and you just colour. I'll tell you when to stop. It'll be after about 5 minutes and we'll see what happens. While she coloured in, I encouraged her to practice mindfulness. Just forget about everything else and concentrate only on your colouring. At the end of those 5 minutes, I told her to stop. I asked, so, do you feel a little more relaxed? She said, I do. I can't believe it. What really surprised her was looking at the EEG results before and after. The improvement was dramatic. She had relaxed physically and mentally, and she could see it on the computer monitor. She felt better and the computer reinforced and validated her feelings. I didn't tell her which colours to use, but the colours she chose were dark, blacks, blues, purples, and reds. This reflected her mental state. She felt under a lot of pressure, anxious about being depressed and depressed about being anxious. At our next meeting, Talia decided to use light and dark blue. Her EEG result further improved, as did her confidence in her ability to control her anxiety. By our third meeting, her colours were definitely brightening up, with the use of dark and light greens. She was starting to see that she could control the parts of her brain that affected her feelings and mood, and this realization was reinforced by the technology that was monitoring her. She had started the journey towards rewiring her brain. From an art therapy perspective, I suspected that the colouring idea would have benefits, but working with clients like Talia proved the science of it. This was the first time it had actually been demonstrated to Talia's conscious brain that she could control her unconscious brain. After that, my discoveries around the healing power of colouring in and mindfulness grew more and more exciting. So a number of years ago, I moved from working as a psychologist to focusing on neuroscience, an area I'd been involved in earlier in my career.